Let's roll in 3, 2, 1. Good day, everybody, and welcome back. Good day, everybody, and welcome back. Give me a second. Figure out why I was echoing to myself. Anyway, so please welcome in Sawnek, who has agreed to put on Silent Hill all bosses. Agreed to put on Silent Hill all bosses. How many bosses are we looking at?
We're looking at a fair few, category of the game.
This is, I guess, the glitchless category of the game. So fighting all of the bosses.
I won't spoil the surprise. Well, I guess as we
I won't spoil the
Basically my
surprise.
way of
Well, I guess
saying I
as we
can't
work through it. Basically, my way of saying I can't remember.
But no, this is going to be a good run.
But no, this is
I've
going
got
to be a good run.
Credit is due, that previous run.
I've got to give credit where credit is due. That previous run, Final Fantasy 11,
amazing.
9 hours. That is amazing. I've had it on the other screen.
I've never played it before, but just seeing a lot of the stuff.
I've never played it before, but just seeing a lot of the stuff and honestly, credit where credit is due. Absolute respect.
Hold on. I need you to mute your audio sources, except the game in your stream. I need you to mute your audio sources. They're registering game in your stream. As in, I can hear myself registering through your stream. As in, I can hear myself registering. Yep.
Oh,
I've
really?
only got my.
I've only got my.
It's like a separate audio source.
I guess I can add it as like a separate audio source.
I don't know how it's going to be, but.
Otherwise, you're going to be dealing with some audio doublage. No wonder I could hear myself, because I was actually hearing myself through your stream.
That's no problem at all. Right, so I've just changed it now.
I've just changed it now.
Might just need to turn it down a little bit.
Let me know how that is. I might just need to turn it down a little bit.
But it's a fairly, despite the game, Silent Hill.
It's a fairly, despite the game, Silent Hill.
So if there is any need,
can be a bit loud in some places. So if there is any need for me to switch it over,
yeah, no, it's just your mic coming through your stream as well.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh really?
Okay. Not hearing myself, that's good. Give me a couple bars.
What about the game? The game's... I probably should load up a game that's probably got, or a bit of the game.
should load up a game that's probably got, or a bit of the game that's probably got a bit of audio, but let me know. You can hear the little radio going off.
What can I say? Bring the technical difficulties with me.
What can I say? Bring the technical difficulties with me.
Is that alright though? Can you hear the game absolutely fine now?
Is that alright though? Can you hear the game absolutely fine now?
Yeah, we'll just leave it as is. What I'll do is I will actually just mute the Discord capture, so your mic is coming through your stream, and we'll just leave it at that for now.
Perfect. Well, so as long as everything's all going, as long as there's no echo, I can skip this little demo here. But yeah, Silent Hill, the original 1999, and we're going to be doing all bosses, so no glitches for the most part. It's going to be a good time. So whenever you're ready, I'll just hover right over.
Well, how about you count yourself in? Keep the sync in.
Let that sink in. Right, perfect. So we'll start with 3, 2, 1, go. So thank you very much. So jumping straight into it here. We're going to skip through some of these cutscenes. Now, the estimate versus the IGT is a bit of a weird thing in this game, and we'll have plenty of time to go over it. But to those who haven't played the original Silent Hill, the premise is you're playing as Harry Mason, and he's taking his daughter on a holiday down to the lovely Silent Hill. And on the way there, they notice a few things kind of strange, kind of weird, kind of out of place, until they accidentally swerve and crash off the road. So this is just directly after the intro. And, I mean, Silent Hill's got a reputation for being a fairly peaceful and nice kind of town, so I think we'll be okay. But glad to see so many legends in here as well. And thank you to everyone for having me on for this amazing event. So the intro here, you're basically just kind of chasing over. There's not a whole lot to really say. If we run into this kind of corner here, you see the cutscene kind of propels you forward, which helps when it comes to the in-game time, because the way that the in-game time works on this game, it only times whenever you're actually playing. So any cutscenes, loading screens, even the text scrolling will pause the timer. So the run itself, in terms of in-game time, we're looking at like 34, 35 minutes for this category, but in real time, it's probably closer to about an hour. The good news though is you can watch the cutscenes, which is nice for like a decent break. But man, this is one silent hill. It absolutely is. You'll never find one quieter. So you can kind of see that this opening sequence is absolutely terrifying. I think they did such a good job at introducing the world and just really just bringing in the atmosphere. But gonna get to this bit. Many of the cutscenes are skippable. This one not so much. But the objective here is to try and die quickly. So because we're in a bit of a nightmare sequence here, there's a lot of RNG that goes in, but this kind of works pretty well. You want to try and just die as quickly as possible. GG, we're done. So that's the end of the first segment. Basically ends up being some kind of weird nightmare. So we'll skip these absolutely incredible FMVs and straight into the cafe. So the one thing you'll probably notice straight away if you haven't ever played this is that it has a lot of similarities to another fairly familiar and popular survival horror game, but it has got a lot of differences. I'd say it's more psychological horror than survival horror, like Resident Evil. And you'll see why. But we've got the first enemy encounter here, and one of the big things that makes Silent Hill as iconic as it is, which is the radio. So the radio will go off when you're in the presence of an enemy. I don't know if it was added just because of the kind of low field of view and the draw distance, but we're going to take out this air screamer here. 5 shots, or 6 shots even.
This is not a dream. What's happening to
I just
this place?
gonna grab that and make our way out of here. So we're gonna be on the kind of the run to the school here. I guess the best way I can really describe these areas is that they're kind of like in between the smaller areas and buildings. You kind of have these fairly open hubs that you can run through and explore. And I mean, if you're doing like your first playthrough, you know, there's a lot of like goodies and healing items and ammo that's hidden away. But for now, we need 3 keys in order to get to towards the school, which is like the first section of the game. Oh, excuse me. Never mind, we'll turn properly then. So this will be key number 1 here. Now, the thing you'll notice about the movement is that it is a little bit janky, as any old school survival horror game will be. But what makes it more interesting is that they kind of made it fairly realistic. Like, if you let go of the button, you don't come to an instant stop. Like, there's a bit of momentum that comes into it. And it's where a lot of the movement... Like, if you run into doors, for example, you'll lose time, but kind of Harry will stumble into walls, doors, whatever it may be. And it's while it is janky, there is kind of a method behind the madness. So a lot of this, not a whole lot to really be looking at here, just running across the street. But once we get to the school, I feel like that's when the game really starts to shine. So we're going to run past this air screamer, grab this key from the back of the police car, and then just take a hit there. But because we are playing on easy, you do take a fair bit of hits. And because obviously it's a marathon, we'll be grabbing a few healing items along the way. So obviously we've got Silent Hill's more iconic feature of fog, which was mostly added in just to kind of reduce the draw distance. I still think it's absolutely insane that they managed to somehow pull off like a fairly open world on the PlayStation 1. And I think it works well within its favour because it's still iconic. It's present in all the games, movies, everything in between. So we'll spam the button there and get the key from the side there, and mostly just kind of bobbing and weaving our way from these air screamers. Now, depending on how quickly you aggro them, they can kind of chase onto you for a little bit. But we do have this main stretch of land coming across here. Martha, welcome on in. So running past not the Boston market, but the Poston market. And one of the things in this game that is very apparent with a lot of the streets, like the devs behind this, Team Silent, absolutely loved their references. All of the streets, all of the signs, all, you know, shops are all based on random, like on horror movie directors and writers and like basically everything in between. But this is a bit, like I said, a bit of a long run over here. We're pretty much going from one side of the town to the other real quick to grab the keys. And then we need to grab this. We need to examine this piece of paper because it lets us know that there's a secret item hidden on the doghouse here. So we can head over here. And this is where one of the big memes come from, because we're going to be checking a doghouse here. And I'll quickly see if we can do it, because we do have a little bit of time. But if I look in here, I might take a hit here. But nothing unusual, he says. Nothing unusual at all. Just two absolutely demonic looking dogs jumping them. It was worth it for the hit. We'll take it. So this is where that movement comes into play. We have all 3 keys. I'm going to let go. And we did it right there. Because if we ran head first into that door and then examined it, it wouldn't have worked. We would have had to have bonked the door, wait a second, and then examine it. So a lot of movement, a lot of method behind the janky movement in this game. So first kind of transition here to the other world, which plays a big part in this game. Suddenly all the lights have gone out. The music's become a lot more terrifying. Now, you'll notice I'm going to turn off the light here. Just because it draws a lot of aggro from enemies that isn't really needed. You can see I kind of ran past that air screamer there. Now, I'll try to give you guys a bit more to look at, because I know that when you turn this off and you just run in, there's no idea what's going on. So I'll try my best to make do of it. There probably are a few sections later on in the game where you're going to want to turn off your light and just completely avoid all the enemies. But with that being said, we're nearly at the school area of the game, which kind of becomes a bit more what you'd expect from your standard survival horror game. I think the one thing to make note is just how incredible the sound design is in this game. So he's left me alone now. A hoodie at this time of year? I couldn't believe it. So just making our way over here. And heading into our first proper area of the game, which is the Midwich Elementary, which I think ended up becoming a Dead by Daylight map. So crazy that Konami thought to make this years before DVD. So, you know, it's kind of as I'm walking up to these doors, Harry kind of stops or slows down. You can actually speed that up by running into it a bit more sideways, like so. So you'll notice these guys, these are the grey children. Based on, well, a big part of Silent Hill is that all the enemies are kind of based on certain things. In this game, they're based off of a character called Alessa, and a lot of the demons that she's had, a lot of the nightmares and fears that, because obviously she was a school child, like a lot of the people that picked on her, that's what these monsters are based on. Depending on where you were, like in the UK version of Silent Hill 1, they were completely replaced with kind of these teddy bear looking enemies that do end up popping up, but only very later on. So if you've ever watched like a speed run of it and they're playing like on the Japanese version or the European version, then they will look a bit different. So for this, there's this big clock tower here. We've just grabbed the gold medal. We need 2 of them in order to unlock the actual clock tower, which will get us to the next section of the game. So we're just going to move over here. Just using a bit of a strafe there to kind of bug out the AI there so it turns around. And we are well on our way to the first major puzzle. And that's the big thing about this. Compared to Resident Evil, the puzzles in this game genuinely do pack a bit of a punch. They have a tendency to leave people kind of lost for a little bit. Now, oh, excuse my movement here. Just examine this piano. So you're really looking for these blank keys. You want to play them in a certain order, the ones that don't actually make any noise. The actual hint to the puzzle's up on that board. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know it. So we're just going to move on. So we're going to turn our light off here to really just avoid any aggro from those 2 enemies. Because if one of them grabs you, the other one can actually slice towards you. Oh, didn't mean to run into him, but that's okay. So I'm going to keep my light on here to unlock the door. And then instantly turn it off here. Because if you... A really cool, like... Oh, excuse me. A really cool, like, feature in this game is that if you don't have your light on when examining a door, it won't let you unlock it. So again, for a game from 1999, there are like elements of realism here that can definitely appreciate. But the music gets a bit more intense here. We're near the end of the first school already, and we'll be heading to the other world. So the other world school is definitely a bit more, well, a bit more confusing. Just going to switch that generator on. Also, one thing I completely forgot to talk about is the actual school design itself is based on the layout and the design from the Kindergarten Cop movie. I don't know, I think people just managed to very early on to really just, like, put pictures of the movie, kind of compare it to the actual school itself, and it's quite funny looking at it, but such an iconic comedy ends up being like one of the most terrifying schools in gaming. But we're going to run through this bunker here, and just like that, we're now in the other world. So the other world in Silent Hill is a lot more confusing, a lot more dangerous. You'll almost notice the difference in the aesthetic instantly here, because everything's now rusted, and I would argue, at least for me personally, this is probably the most confusing part when you're learning the run. There's so many wrong turns that you can take, and it does kind of feel like a lot of these rooms do just kind of look the same. And it's definitely like a compliment to the game design with just how kind of claustrophobic and confusing and kind of turn around you feel. We're going to slip straight past that guy right there. Pop this card in. Probably grab ourselves another weapon in a moment. Yeah, they absolutely like had a lot of inspiration for this game. Like they very much wear it on their sleeve with this one, and I think I know it's like the unpopular opinion, because objectively, like Silent Hill 2 and 3 is like such incredible games, but this is the first one I played as a kid, and it absolutely terrified me. So it's always been my favorite one to go back to. So just kind of bobbing and weaving through these enemies here. And then into a cutscene, but again, we're going to skip it. So there's kind of two parts to this. The first part is that we need to get a key that is kind of lodged in the rooftop. And in order to do so, we are going to use this pink rubber ball to do so. And I'll show you what I mean in a second, if I can get through this door. Straight up these stairs here. So we're on the rooftop now, and what we need to do, examine this first of all to make sure there definitely is a key in there. Can confirm there's a key just chilling in there. And then we're going to use this opportunity here in the menu to equip our shotgun and then drop this in there. Now, the main difference between this, because obviously Resident Evil and Silent Hill have always had comparisons over the years, but you don't have, you have kind of unlimited inventory space, or at least it feels that way. And you also would have seen me do a little bit of a side strafe there, and that's another big thing in this game is the movement. So, you know, you've obviously got your standard tank controls. You can quick turn, but with the left or the right bumper, or L1, R1, you kind of do this side strafe left and right, which is very handy for a lot of the nicer moves in this game. So just let go of the button there a second early, just so I can bump into that door perfectly. And now we're going to go downstairs and grab that key that we just washed down the drain. But not before just running through here and just slipping straight past them. Because again, they do aggro and react, you know, to your lights. And you'll hear the soundtrack just absolutely, like, terrifying. You know, even though this game is back from 1999, I still think they did such a good job with every part of it. And I almost feel like the graphics, like, despite them not being the nicest looking graphics of its time, I think it adds to the atmosphere. So a big part of, like, the Nightmare School is that instead of going through corridors and doors, you kind of just use the sides of the classrooms, and that's probably the big trick to it, because it does look a bit confusing. And even when I was watching people run this before I started learning, I had no idea what was going on. But we're gonna go here to this jump scare here. Now, you see I did like a little side strafe because you can kind of control what you're doing there. When you are strafing, if you kind of bump the D-pad a little bit, you can kind of manipulate that movement a bit more. Which meant we were instantly facing that key that dropped out of the locker. So, but with that being said, we are near the end of the Nightmare School already. We've got the 2 key items that we need. So starting off here. And we'll be on our sorry, I can't speak. On the approach to the first boss fight soon, or known as Split Head. Go the right way here. Just gonna sneak straight past him. I was kind of tempted to grab that healing item. I think I'll hold off for now, but I probably will pop one soon enough. Just because, you know, charity marathon and all, and you know how RNG can be. So, because we are doing the all bosses run, we do need a bit more ammo because we are going to be fighting 2 bosses that you normally wouldn't. So we'll grab ourselves some shotgun ammo, and again, I think I'm going to grab this ampule here as well, which fully heals you. Usually in the run, not much of a need to grab, but I think here we should. So this is turning the valve twice, going left. And then right. And then that should clear the way for us to fight Splithead. Now, a fun part about this boss fight is that it doesn't really tell you how to beat the fight unless you read a certain note. Which kind of tells a story about a archer who decides to fight a giant lizard and wait until it opens its mouth, because otherwise, I think everyone else in the story can't kill it. But for us, we want to shoot this at least 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Wait for him to open his mouth. And once he opens his mouth, we're going to shoot 2 shots in, and then it'll be over. Because again, the story that you find in the game tells you to wait and be patient and wait until the mouth opens up. Which one would I like to... You know what? I'd love to see this one remade. Like, don't get me wrong, but when that Silent Hill 2 remake came out, I absolutely loved every second of it. I was kind of the camp of, it doesn't need a remake, but they definitely proved me wrong on that front. But now, there's no better time to remake this game than right now. You know, right off of the back end of an amazing remake. It's meant to be in the works. Honestly, I'd love to see him do it. Like, I do love Silent Hill 3, but I think that game holds up really well. And I definitely think that because of the connection between Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 3, I feel like it makes sense to remake this one first. Especially for all like the new age fans that never played the original. Like, I think people will be more than happy to give 2 and 3 a chance, but even just one look at this, and a lot of people will instantly be kind of like off from it. So that's done and dusted. The school is done. Again, I'd say the school is probably one of the more confusing sections in the game. There's a lot going on, a lot of potential like avenues for you to cross, and it's just can be a bit much. We are on our way to the second section of the game, which is the hospital. But again, we've just got to do a little bit of traveling here, and thankfully it's nowhere near as confusing as the first part of the game. So we'll use this key that we've just found. Yeah, he's like directly involved with it and everything. So I'm just going to go down here. And I think one of the more confusing parts is kind of traversing through the fog here, because like it's so easy to get lost. And like even the other day when I was kind of relearning this run for this marathon, I was kind of there and I'm like getting turned around on myself and running the wrong way. It's easy enough to do here, but I think as we kind of approach the hospital section of the game, I think it starts to kind of clear up a bit. So there's 2 air screamers in this alleyway. One of them is currently hot on my track right now, but I'm going to try and take a certain line here and hope that this left one leaves me alone. So the first one's already ignored me. Second one, he's given up as well. So that's good. That's exactly what you want to do. Because if they start chasing after you, you kind of have to bob and weave a little bit, which I guess can lose you some time. It's a weird time, though. I think in terms of Silent Hill, you know, a few years ago we didn't have anything. I would have just told you that the series was done and dusted, but it seems like it's back. You know, Silent Hill F looks really good. Silent Hill 2 Remake was great. That Ascension thing was a bit weird, but that's fine.
Were you ringing that bell?
Boris, welcome on in. So we're going to meet Dahlia here with, again, some absolute incredible tracks as I bonk the church door, but that's fine. So we've got the generator key because we need to lower the bridge that's going to take us to the next part of the town. And again, it's amazing to see just how much effort they put into this and just how big the world is. A lot of it isn't accessible. A lot of the doors are locked and broken. But, you know, it really gives that sense that you're in a mostly live-in town, I suppose. So, heading down here. The big PS1 flex, you best believe it. I'm pretty sure like the backstory as well to it was like Konami just took a team of people that they didn't really think were all that good with their projects and threw them onto like a B team and were like, hey, you know that Resident Evil that came out? Go do that. And then they ended up cooking this absolute game. So I'm gonna pop a hill here actually. Just because we can't be dying out here. Not on the marathon. So we'll lower the bridge here. And use the side strafe to get out. I'm going to like walk for a second because if you just swing around that corner and jump down the stairs, Harry falls over. He like trips over himself. Which, thinking about it, I should have shown off. Because we're not going for a PB or anything. I think it'd be quite funny. So again, another just absolutely incredible track. Like every track in this OST is just terrifying. I think it really holds its own against like a lot of the soundtracks that you use throughout the games. Like they're all amazing in their own right, but if you're just going for just absolute horror, they seem to do real well with this one. So, hospital's coming up. I'd say the hospital's probably a little less confusing, a little bit more linear than the school section. We're going to hop in there. We've just heard some gunshots as well, so definitely nothing to worry about. I'm sure it's absolutely fine. And then we're going to meet none other than Dr. Kaufman. We're going to skip the cutscene here. Again, it's worth mentioning that, like, with this game, the IGT only runs when you are in control of the game, which means that if you wanted to sit down, do a speed run, and sit down and watch all the cutscenes, you absolutely can. And I think I love when the IGT works like that. It's funny to see that Silent Hill 1 was so ahead of the time with the way the time is counted. So we're going to grab this key here. And because we're doing all bosses, we're going to skip these two rooms. But these two rooms I'm currently running past contain 2 items you would need to use on the any % run. But for the most part, the route is going to stay the same up until a certain point. So we're going to side strafe to get out of here. Turn the generator on. And we're going to make our way upstairs. So floor number 2 to start off with. We'll see what's going on up there. Oh, it's locked. Okay, guess we've got to go back. Right, let's try floor number 3. I'm sure third time's the charm, right? Ah, it's jammed. Okay, I don't know where we're going to go now. Huh, but wait, there's more. So we've got the 4th floor here, which is going to be our way back into the other world. Suppose we'll head down and see what's going on. Right, so with the hospital, I'd say it's, again, like I said earlier, it's a slightly shorter section. You're not in there anywhere near as long as the school, it feels like. I think there's a lot of like bonus stuff that you can do, but obviously for the sake of this and the speed run, we're just going to grab what we need and get out of here. Oh. Now, if you don't quick turn properly like I just did, you kind of jump into that side strafe there. That's exactly what I did there. So we're going to grab this blood bag and get back out of here. Get a head up here. Now, there's a little bit of RNG based on what that nurse is going to be doing. Thankfully, she was well behaved and let us get through. So we'll grab these plates here. So we need 4 of them in order to progress. And just like that, we're already done with this floor. So we're going to head back to the elevator. Straight down to the first floor. And then just going to sneak past these doctors and nurses here who can do quite a bit of damage if you let them get their hands on you. They've got like a bit of a bit of a wind up with each attack, but I'm going to go the right way here. I agree. If they do end up slashing me, I think they do need to throw a dino in or something. For the most part, you can run through them. Thankfully, I mean, there's one coming up here where you have to shoot them, and I will try and show the strat if it works. So, back on the second floor. Grab the lighter. Can we get the £5 nurse train? Even she's going for it. Look at that. So, in this room, I've actually done too many steps. All you need to do to throw this blood bag on the floor, you only need to move over like a step. And then it just kind of just throws you over here anyway. I'm going to try not to run into that. I don't believe it does damage, but that's fine. So we'll grab that. Back out of there. And now we've got all of the plates. So let's go through here. So the order to them, the way I remember it, is you kind of just put the pink one there. We're going to drop the green one on the bottom right.
Well, we just had a donation come in. That was a longer comment than I saw on Scream, but £5 came in from the Sawnek Appreciation Society of Clavicle Enthusiasts. That's a mouthful.
Well,
no, absolutely. Thank you very much for the dono.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the dono.
Seems you got a fan club out there.
I don't know who that could have been.
A clavicle enthusiast club. Do you have a midnight society you're not telling us about?
Enthusiast society, I suppose. I'll showcase that on the next stream. So, pretty much done with the hospital here. We're just going to go down to the basement here with all the items we've got. So straight back downstairs. But thank you so much for the dino. And again, it's all going to an amazing cause. They're raising money here for Blue Cross UK for the animals. Make sure if you can throw a dino in. So we're going to swing past here now. Push this over. There is a box of shotgun shells on the wall. We are going to grab that on the way out. But for now, we're going to head into the basement. Wouldn't be a survival horror game without some kind of secret passage. And, well, we've just happened to find one. Played a game about a cult while secretly having one. I told you that in confidence, actually. I can't believe I'm being exposed today. just hidden in plain sight, just like the cult of Silent Hill. So, I'm going to sneak past these nurses here. Head to this final door on the left to find the cutscene.
What's this?
That's a good question, Harry. It's an excellent question. Now, you see I just turned a little bit because if you don't turn enough, you'll end up examining that picture, which will waste you a lot of time. So, just kind of turning and grabbing it is the better way to do it. Would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling donations. If it means exposing the cult for the amazing cause we've got going, I think it's alright. I think that's absolutely fine. So, we're going to be heading back to where we started here. And we're nearly at the point where the main any percent run... Oh, he's blocking me. Gotta dodge him out of the way. He's completely gatekeeping me out of here. That's fine. Again, they can do quite a bit of damage, so it's worth just dodging. So we're going to meet Lisa here, who easily one of the fan favorites in this game. Got an absolutely like tragic backstory, and I'll keep it vague because I think even if you're watching the run, I think it's definitely worth a watch or a playthrough at least. I think these games, you know, despite the visuals, I think it holds up really well. Maybe I'm a little biased, but hey, out of the hospital. So the big difference between the all bosses run and the any % run is a massive out of bounds glitch that's coming up shortly. We're not gonna be doing that today because all bosses requires you to do the fight that you would end up skipping, which is Twin Feeler, which we'll get to in a moment. So the out of bounds glitch was discovered probably a fair few years ago now, but it was absolutely game changing. I have no idea how that was found. The idea of it. It's known as the romper skip. Now there's an antique shop coming up in a second that we're going to go into. But I guess the idea of it is that if you can get an enemy known as the romper to jump onto you at the perfect frame as you kind of enter in a certain area, you'll actually be completely out of bounds. You can run through like the wall and end up going and skipping the shopping centre section, the run back to the hospital afterwards. It skips a couple of minutes, and it is a massive barrier for a lot of people like jumping in, I guess. So right here,
Can I interject for one
we're not
more
going to do
second?
it.
We got another
Coming up in a
£5
moment
donation
anyway,
that
as
came
we
in.
leave and into like the nightmare version.
With the comment of £5 chain choo-choo, jump
Absolutely.
aboard before it leaves. That came from Snake SOCOM. Well, thank you as well.
Well, thanks so much, Snake. Appreciate you. Can we get the £5 train going? I mean, it's pretty late. It's 10 p.m. here in the UK. The trains, and it's a Sunday as well, so the trains aren't going to be running too long. So if you want to get your tickets, you best get on it. Only while stocks last. So this is right here is the point where we break off from the main run, because this is where the romper skip takes place. Again, it's an out of bounds glitch that allows you to skip like a fairly short chunk, but quite significant. But for me, I'm gonna go through here. Took a little bit longer to load there. I was a little worried. I'm gonna turn off my light and avoid the romper, because the romper itself is a bit of a nightmare to deal with. They can leap very far, and if they grab you, you end up losing quite a bit of time because you end up falling down. But for the time being, we're heading into the shopping centre. And this is where we're all in new territory for the speed run, because again, all bosses has you needing to fight all of them. And we're going to be fighting Twin Feeler, who is... Just going to skip that real quick. It's like a kind of like a worm, I suppose. So we're going to set our position in here. Depending on where you run there, depends on where you land, and it's important to make sure you land in the right position here. So we're going to stand here, wait for him to come out. Quick turn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he's done. That's Twin Feeler done. So a big part of that manip there is to really make sure, like, as he's going over that metal grate on the ground, he can't burrow into the ground. And it only takes like 5 or 6 shots, depending, to take him out. So you really don't want to waste any time there. So we're out of it. He breaks out the window, or out the door, and disappears. And we'll be facing him very shortly. So now we've got this run here. This is what I was talking about earlier when I was relearning this game again for this marathon. This bit had me completely lost for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm hoping it's not going to be the same today. I feel like the camera kind of helps you here. It kind of pushes you where you need to go. But I'm going to just briefly turn on the light just to see where I'm going here. So now that we're kind of in the other world again, a lot of the enemies do a lot more damage. They look a bit meaner. All of the variants that we've seen so far now look much scarier here. So we're going to keep running here. We're making our way back to the hospital. Now, with that glitch that I mentioned, if you do it correctly, you're skipping the fight that we just did. You're skipping this whole run back. It is a massive skip. And when you see it done as well, it's a really good one to watch. But again, all bosses, we don't need to do that. So we're going to make our way back to the hospital here. Just dodging that guy right there. Now you're in the northern part of Sawnek. Absolutely. So go back to the hospital here to have a chat with Lisa. And then we're going to fight the next boss, which is a giant moth, essentially. So this is where the shotgun comes in handy. A big part of this fight is just strafing. Making use of the strafing technique that I mentioned earlier. You really just want to run around in circles and really just avoid any hits. But here he is. Gonna try to avoid his acid attack and just take some shots. Gonna run around here. Now there's a ladder behind me, or a set of stairs. I really want to keep close to that, because once this fight is over, we want to be as close to that as possible. Naturally, I'm as far away as you need to be. But there it is, GG. So with that fight, you strafing around in circles and really just wanted to avoid the acid attacks and like the kind of hits you can take there. Now, real quick, I'm just gonna check check our health here and just see how we're doing. But we're all right. We're okay. Okay. So back in the normal world now, and head into the next section of the game, which is the sewers. Now, this is one of the only opportunities in the game where you will fast travel. There's 2 of them. It will just, I suppose the developers just looked at it and said, you know what, it's fine. You know, we'll sort you out here. We'll move you to where you need to go. So we're going to go back across the bridge and then go to a very familiar location. So you see on the map here, we're going back to the school, but there's a little section next to it which leads to the sewers, and it's kind of revealed to us in a cutscene we just missed with Lisa. Yeah, Cosmo, thanks so much for the luck as well. So we're back here, back to where it almost began, I suppose. Check this lock, and we're going to do the one thing that no survival horror protagonist remember to do, which is to shoot the damn lock. I think if Harry or if other protagonists shared that mentality that Harry had, I think maybe they wouldn't be stuck in their nightmares for so long. I mean, think of how many doors in Resident Evil you could just blast through, you know? Harry's mad speed for someone who can't see 2 feet in front of him? Oh, absolutely. So here in the sewers, got a new set of enemies down here, which kind of remind me a lot of the Lickers from Resident Evil. Now, there is a bit of RNG whether you're going to get through them or not. Their positioning can be a little different. I'm hoping they're going to be a little nice here. Otherwise, they're going to hit you like so. But I'm going to push him out of the way and just keep going. So I'd say next to the school section, this bit can be a bit confusing because of just how much is going on. And it's so easy to kind of just turn the wrong way. But you'll see there, I ran straight into the door. A lot of the doors in the sewers, you kind of want to go in sideways like you do at the school. Or if you're feeling like a bit confident with your movement, you can just stop running and kind of land directly into it. So we'll grab that, grab the key, side strafe into that. Use ain't gonna help. I mean, can you blame him? He's been through hell and back. So we're gonna go back here. We're gonna use the free cam here just to kind of see what this guy's doing. He's gonna block me again. That's fine. I think I'm just gonna check my health real quick as well, actually. Still okay though. I'm a little surprised about that. I'm gonna turn the light off. So because he's turning right, we can swing around his left. And then again, you're gonna see me kind of coming in at an angle. And then boom, straight through. So we're almost done with the first part of the sewers. Now I'm gonna turn my light off here. Because these bugs would otherwise, they can potentially block you and do like some unnecessary damage. Excuse me. So I didn't really go into detail about the free cam, or like if you hold down the L2, you can kind of move the camera around. Well, not move it, but it will like follow you a bit better. And it's quite good for seeing certain angles and certain rooms. Obviously between the fixed cameras and whatnot. So we're just going to keep going down here towards the second section of the sewer. So there's some free items over there. We ain't taking them. We're going to get out of here. So they already see there's an enemy here at the ready here to just completely like just run into me. But for the most part, it's just knowing where you're going. Oh, there's a bit of a weird one there, but that's fine. Got an absolutely terrifying section coming up here. So I've got to stop running at just a second early just so we can kind of stop at the right time and then grab the key that we need. And we're just going to run. So well forced out by those guys because we're just out of it. But it's fine. We're not going to stick around. We've got the key we need to get out, so we just have to retrace our steps here in absolute beautiful survival horror fashion. And I'm not going to stick around and find out what that was, so we're out of here. So, final room here, near enough. We're going to just try and strafe past, and we get away. Sometimes you can get unlucky, and he'll just swipe at you. And it's a very awkward door, because if you end up overshooting the door, then you can end up in this corner, and it's a bit difficult to get out sometimes. So, the sewer section is done, but it will make a return shortly. We are now in the resort area. So, this is where the multiple endings come into play. The resort plays a big part if you're going for the good plus ending or the good ending. There are 5 endings in the game. So one of them is the iconic UFO ending, and the others are 2 bad endings, 2 good endings. So for this run, I think we just get the standard bad ending. But the requirements are fairly simple. There's like a side quest that you can do when you're in this part of the town with like a motel and kind of uncovering a couple of secrets that the town's holding. And through doing like this back and forth quest, you end up, you basically tick one of the checkboxes. The other one is to save a character who we'll be fighting very soon. Needless to say, we won't be saving them. So we're nearing the kind of dock area of the game. Monster. So, this is where the rompers can absolutely get you. A lot of the enemies here have been turned after 10. You'll also notice the frame rate absolutely dips here. But I'm going to turn the light off because you can kind of hear the romper. And he can be on your case. He can just absolutely just chase you to the ends of the earth here. But I'm just using this west garage here as like an indicator. So I know to turn down here. And we should be good. Gonna turn that off while the oversized pigeon avoids me, and then there's another enemy we can dodge. Oh, I say dodge, but not very well. It's fine. So we're gonna be heading onto a boat. Gonna run past some beautiful environments here as well. And we've got a bit of a cutscene here between myself, well, Harry, Sybil, and Dahlia as they kind of discuss what's going on, and Dahlia is telling them what they need to do, but we don't have time to do that. We're just going to get out of here. So we need to go to this lighthouse. So I'm going to turn my light off because there are 2 rompers waiting here, and I'm not going to stick around to let them jump me here. So we get past them. And thankfully, from that point on, there are no more rompers that you've got to deal with for the rest of the run. Just going to avoid this absolute monstrosity real quick. There's a lot going on here as well, but mostly we're just making our way to the lighthouse. And as you can see, that the frame rate here just absolutely plummets to a crawl, but I'm going to turn my light off here as we make it to the lighthouse. Straight in there. So I'm going to take a couple of walking steps because as you run into this, Harry kind of turns a bit. And just by walking and up and left here, it kind of realigns us a bit more. We've got a cutscene here, but we ain't got time for that. We're going to strafe straight down these stairs and head back. So again, just kind of readjusting every now and again. With the absolute incredible soundtrack playing in the background as well. So I mentioned earlier that there's a couple of instances of you kind of being fast traveled. This is the second instance. Maybe they just found that making the return back to the boat was a little bit tedious. So we get here and realise that despite Sybil saying she'd meet us here, she's not come back. Don't know where she could have gone, but we've got to go. We've got priorities. Got to go save Cheryl. So now we're going to be making our way to the second sewer level, which is a little bit nicer, a bit more linear than the previous section. Just going to be using my light here. Now, I think you can keep your light on for this because you'll hear them trying to catch up to you, but for the most part, you can just keep running. If we could just line ourselves up here, we can, oh, maybe not bonk the door, but we can go straight down. So this will lead us to the amusement park. And I mean, you know, we're in Silent Hill. We might as well go to the world famous theme park while we're here, right? So in that cutscene, Sybil gets attacked by an unknown entity. We're gonna turn my light off here just so we can kind of sneak past these guys, because otherwise that one at the end there can kind of block your way out. And like I said, there's not a whole lot going on with this section. It's mostly following a fairly linear path. So you're going to see like a teddy bear looking enemy on my right here. In the EU and Japanese versions of this game, all of the kids and the grey children from the school are replaced with those guys. I think they're called mumblers. Oh, there's another one here as well. Okay. Usually there's a green monster here from the sewers, but no, we're blessed with not just one, but two of them. And out of the sewers. And again, another absolutely like nightmare fuel track there. As you kind of go through the sewer, it kind of builds up a bit. Obviously, you kind of speed through it in the speed run, but when you're playing it, it kind of builds up occasionally, like as you're exploring each tunnel. Gonna run past these little guys. They won't really do anything to us just yet. And we're here at the carnival. So we've got another boss fight coming up. And unfortunately, it's going to be Sybil. So Sybil's the other part of getting of what determines the ending, based on whether you kill her or whether you can save her. Oh, probably hope I go the right way here. So we'll turn back around. And then, only problem is she packs a bit of a punch. She's got a gun loaded and ready to go. So we're going to fight her in just a moment here. So one thing to mention in this is we've got 6 shells loaded into our shotgun. Shoot all of them, you go to reload it. But what you can do in Silent Hill is if you just let go of the gun and then it reloads automatically. So you're going to see that in a moment. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pulls out the gun. We're going to run past and then instantly reload. So that's phase 1 done. She decides to throw the shotgun. Now, because it's a shotgun, we really want to get as close as we can here. 4, 5, 6. Going to bring the gun back up. And it saved us a lot of time there because now we don't have to reload or go into the menu and reload. Unfortunately, though, Sybil is dead. We have taken out the one other person that seems fairly sane in this town. And again, that's where the ending's determined, because earlier on in the game, when you're in the hospital, you can find like a red chemical, and if you throw it on her, then you save her. But unfortunately, we won't be doing that. So, we're at the final section of the game, and welcome to nowhere. It's couldn't be named any better. It's kind of like a mishmash. Where is nowhere? That's the real question. That's the question of the hour. So nowhere is a mishmash of different areas and rooms throughout the game. Now, even from a casual perspective, it is absolutely baffling because at this point, I mean, if you've played a Silent Hill game, you know that usually you check your map like every 10 seconds. You don't get a map in here. It is completely up to you to work out where you need to go. It is fairly mind-boggling. But here you can already see we've got, you know, rooms from the hospital, rooms from the school, just a little bit of everything. So, we're going to keep going here. Kind of bob and weave here, and then we're going to use the pliers to unlock this. Now, that can be a bit tricky, getting that angle. I'm pretty happy I didn't miss that one. Sometimes you can kind of overshoot it a little bit, but that's going to give us our first item, which is the key. We're going to get out of there. So, just puzzles upon puzzles upon puzzles here. This one here, the combination. We need to get this stone in the middle. So, it's going to be 6, 4, and then 8. Then we've got another puzzle directly afterwards here, where the password is alert. Oh, didn't think we'd get that there for a moment, but it is pretty forgiving with the hitboxes on that. Gonna grab that key, and we're gonna go into one of the more emotional scenes in this game, where Lisa kind of discovers why, you know, why all of the other nurses have turned into these evil monsters, and she's still okay. And you've got this absolute tearjerker of an FMV here. Unfortunately, I've got to skip it, but the only way I could say is if you never played this, I heavily recommend you do it. You know, it's such a good game. Don't let the appearance throw you off. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of stuff going on in this game. A lot of jank. A lot of incredible voice acting too. So this hitbox can be a little bit much. I probably should have healed there, but that's okay. Yeah, very all over the place here. Like, you know, rooms are connecting to things. Like, these are places that we've seen and been through throughout our playthrough tonight. But nothing seems to make sense. So we're going to use our key of Haggith here. Head straight for the 3rd floor to do this this puzzle coming up here. So a little bit of trivia from me. This room always reminds me of my childhood home because this is what the pipes would sound like in the middle of the night. Definitely not nightmare fuel. It's absolutely fine. So we'll grab this key. Oh, do a little side strafe there for the sake of it. Why not? And get back out of it. So straight back down to floor 2 now. Yeah, like it sounded exactly like that. I nearly say not been there in like 5 years. But so we're gonna shoot this nurse right here. I think one shot is more than enough, but there's 2 key items in here. Yeah, this sound right here. Not that ass. So we'll grab those 2 items. And you'll kind of see where it loops back in on itself here, because just like that, we're back to where we started. So we're going to go to this key here, or this room, use the birdcage key. Should give us yet another key item. Oh. For some reason, I was wondering why it wasn't working. So this is where we find some of the final enemies in this game. The invisible... They're like invisible grey children, but they do a lot more damage. So we pick up the dagger there, but then we put in the ring of contract, because if you don't, you die here. It's an instant game over. A tentacle comes out of the fridge and pulls you straight in. Now, I don't know how a ring is holding it all together, but it's fine. I'm not going to stick around long enough to question it. That's fine. Let's get out of here. We're going to do a bit of a sweep through here. Now, you vaguely saw the enemy there, but... Oh, let me just go through here. Open up this bag of jelly beans. You did not read that wrong. Just for another key. I mean, you got to give them credit. They absolutely went way out of the box when it came to these items. So we need a set of like 5 items to get out of here. We'll use that key. We're going to use this. We're going to switch this generator off because of an electrified like metal plate that we need to open up to grab another key item. So I'm going to turn off my light here. There are 2 of the invisible enemies here. Oh, we got the dodge. That's usually very RNG based. I'll absolutely take that. So this is usually electrified. So we've got the screwdriver we picked up earlier. And then there we go. We've got the key. So can we get the dodge on the way back? That's the question. It looks like we can. There we go. And with that being said, we are very much on the approach here to the final boss. Now, I might get grabbed. Surprisingly not. They didn't want to pay the £5 fee. They absolutely didn't. So very much on the approach to the final boss here. Now, because of the ending that we're getting, the boss changes. The little side strafe there. So we're just fighting a lesser. But if you get the best ending, you can fight an enemy known as, like, I think it's Incubus, I believe. Absolutely demonic. So we're going to throw all these items in here. So the key 5 items to get through this door. Now, there's a lot of stuff I didn't really go into in terms of, like, the representation and the themes of this game. And I think it's probably for the best. I think if you've not played this before, I really do think it's absolutely worth a go. So, with that being said, we're at the final boss. So, the way to do this fight is that we're going to take out our shotgun. We're going to walk 4 steps. And we're going to wait until the attack charges up here.
Or the
so,
final split.
1, 2, 3, 4. Of course.
Dang.
GG, that's time. Alyssa is done, dusted. Was it the good ending? Not by a long shot. I think this is the bad ending as opposed to the bad plus. We completely failed in saving Cheryl. Didn't save Sybil. Didn't expose the cult activity. But hey, we did it fast. That's what matters. I think it's the most depressing ending, to be honest.
So,
there's like an after credit scene.
Back with
a
a good ending.
Gut punch. But that is run it back with it. We'll do good plus. Might take me a few hours because I we'll get there. But yeah, that's Silent Hill all bosses. I think it's a bit of a niche run. The any percent is obviously the most popular one. But I think it's a cool little showcase. I guess this used to be the route for any percent before all the glitches were found, and a lot to remember. The twists and turns of Silent Hill can be a little bit confusing, but I'm glad I managed to showcase it here. I wasn't expecting this one to get in because I was like, hey, you know what? I've not ran this in a while.
We're always thankful for no matter what the speedrun is,
an amazing
how niche it may be. If it's interesting, we'll put it on. And you know what? The better, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
As it's just one as well.
Because of how short the run is too, it also makes it a lot more
that's
versatile
right,
of where we can stick it. So that's the helpful part too. Where you used to.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's such a good run as well because I mean this came out as like the competitors of Resident Evil, but I think even just showing it off, you can see that despite how like many similarities there are between the two, there are way more differences, and it's interesting seeing even in the run itself, like the, movement, lines, like all of that stuff. But
thank you very, very much for putting this on press.
Entirely.
Yes, absolutely. When the next event comes out, whatever you can think of, no matter how many, how short, how long you want to do, just goes for everybody else. Make sure you get it in, and depending on what charity we run for next time, if it's the same one or we pick something different, there's always something going on.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much for having me on as well. I think I did the commentary for Snake SOCOM's run on Wednesday. Yesterday I ran Resident Evil 2, and this is my last run. So I very much appreciate you having me on, and let's see how much further we can go with the Dino Goal, because everyone's been smashing it. There's been some really amazing runs I've been able to catch as well. I think that's what I love about these kinds of events.
We try to put on the best show we can, all while
different
trying
things
to support
you
a good
never
cause at the
heard
same
or never
time.
seen before. So that's the post-credit scene. Bit of a gut punch. It's like, oh, well, it was all a nightmare. Like I said at the beginning of the game, he crashes the car.
Was any of that real?
Just it. It's not the worst ending, but it definitely feels like it.
Isn't it like?
That's the question, right? That's where the interpretation comes in. Like, what did it happen? Funnily enough, there's a line somewhere in the game where he's like, maybe this is all a dream and I died in the car accident. But thankfully, it's not the canon one, so it's absolutely fine. Harry gets to live on another day. And they've even thrown an outtake as well, because I suspect they realised how depressing that ending might be.
I did all that for what? Nothing?
I imagine a lot of people on their first playthrough end up getting that ending or the bad ending, because like you're not really checking, you don't really put two and two together to know that, oh yeah, you meant to pick up this item early on in the game, you use it on a boss fight later on, and there's a lot of like openness to it.
Way back in the day when games
so
you actually had to explore for yourself instead of relying on ye old internet.
Back when they ran this at the beginning.
Yeah.
Or just wait for the next video game magazine to come out next month and maybe have something in there. But there he is. There's Harry.
Scared
he's
himself
fine.
on that
he just almost
condiment bottle.
He's absolutely okay.
I guess.
Honestly, the FMVs in this game, they look so good for what they are, and they were all done by one person as well. Who basically lived in the Konami office and would like render the movies like in the CGI cutscenes like when everyone had gone home.
Damn.
But there it is, the final time, 38:44, which in terms of in-game time, I think that's like 10 seconds off my PB.
No aiming.
Considering
shots. They give you a range of statistics too.
Yeah, they kind of go above and beyond in this. They've got a little bit of everything. The amount of like walking distance. We walk 0.069
you would get a bit of an
kilometers.
inclination that there are several different ways to beat the game based on that ending line. So that might actually proc people. Yeah, people would be like, "Oh, what do you mean it's a bad ending? You mean there's a good one?" And
yeah, I guess that's the indicator. I mean, there's more to this, which I do love the replayability in this, because even the speedrun doesn't really get to show off just how much there is to the game, and just in terms of like environments and even these free weapons you can see in the background. Like when you go back into it, there's like whole new like shops that are open for you to go in and get those. And you unlock more weapons depending on the, depending on the ending that you get, and depending on the stats that you get, which I guess pushes people into maybe considering speedrunning it. But I can't imagine.
Well, I guess also the fact that there's an item counter. Is there a hundo road to this game?
In game time.
Yeah.
I think it's called 10 stars. It's like the closest to like, you see at the bottom I've got like a ranking system. Like for two stars or something, and one at the bottom. I'll be honest, I don't know enough about the game to know what goes into it. I know there's like a lot of like interpretation and like many old school internet forum arguments about what needs to be done and what isn't. I think the game punishes you based on certain things, based on the difficulty you're playing on, based on your accuracy as well. There's a lot that goes into it, but I think 10-star ranking is like the closest to the 100% route. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. A big shout out to the Silent Hill community as well. When I was relearning this over the last few days, a lot of the members of the community and a lot of the speedrunners came in and were nice enough to give me tips and help me out. So massive shout out to them, massive
And
shout out
with
to
that,
you guys.
unfortunately,
and to
the
everyone
run
that
that's following
donated as
this
well.
has had to be rescheduled, so this is actually going to be the end for today. I myself am going to probably go take a nap because I'm exhausted. Been up since 3. I'm gonna keep saying it. I don't care. Up since 3. Yes.
No, absolutely. You've been you put an absolute
we'll close it
shift
out because I
today,
know
honestly.
some of you
GG's to
that are
yourself
still in here
and
love to do some more
to everybody
on
else.
stream. So we'll do a game or two, and then I'll find a raid target, and we'll send everybody on their way for their day. For the rest of you, other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend.
Let's go.
Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and thanks again, Sawnek. I can't even English. Again, for closing out our second weekend of this. I think.
That's fine, man.
Cheers.